I think that it prompts North America to remain the most competitive region in the world. So it's a good result and something that we should feel positive and proud about.
A trade agreement bound to be a large part of the Trump legacy in the decades to come.
Those 8 weeks of the shutdown wasted the time to be able to do the negotiations. So the clock's ticking, it's moving very quickly. You know, I'm not so sure they're going to hit that number. There's a lot of work being done about how do we address this. Clearly, the COVID pandemic is over.
Imagine a map of North America. For more than 30 years, the thickest, most dominant trade lines on that map ran vertically. They connected Canada to the United States and Mexico to the United States. These two borders were total economic lifelines, but the two ends of the continent rarely spoke to each other directly. Now, look closer at that map today. A new, much quieter line is starting to glow. It completely bypasses Washington, stretching straight from the frozen north of Ottawa to the bustling industrial hubs of Mexico City. While the world's media cameras remain completely fixed on the White House, watching every political headline, sudden tariff threat, and late-night social media post, something much more strategic is happening behind the scenes. Canada and Mexico are quietly preparing for a world where their economic relationship with the United States is no longer a sure thing. They aren't just sitting around waiting for the next political storm to hit. They are actively building an economic backup plan, and they are doing it together. To understand why this quiet revolution is happening right now, we have to look at the calendar. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, has a literal ticking clock built directly into its fine print. The agreement features a mandatory 6-year review clause. This is the exact moment where any of the three countries can decide to smoothly renew the deal for another 16 years or completely derail it, forcing all three nations into painful, exhausting annual negotiations. The signals coming out of Washington have been impossible to ignore. A straightforward, easy renewal is completely off the table. Over the past couple of years, the world watched the shockwaves of sudden, aggressive universal tariff threats aimed at both Canadian and Mexican goods. Even though legal battles and emergency exemptions have kept the vast majority of North American trade tariff-free for the time being, the ultimate message was received loud and clear in Ottawa and Mexico City. Relying entirely on a single, increasingly unpredictable neighbor is no longer a safe, long-term economic strategy for survival. Instead of panicking or adopting a wait-and-see approach, Canada and Mexico have chosen a highly coordinated route. They are quietly shifting their bilateral economic engines into high gear. They are organizing massive, high-level trade missions, establishing deep diplomatic partnerships, and knitting their domestic supply chains together tightly enough to withstand whatever political shocks come next. Look at what happened recently in Mexico City. Canada launched one of the most ambitious Team Canada trade missions in its history, sending a massive delegation of top business leaders, industrial innovators, and government officials straight into the heart of the Mexican market. This was not just a basic meet and greet or a routine photo opportunity for the evening news. This mission was the direct result of a massive diplomatic pivot. Just months earlier, Canada's leadership and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced a new, historic, comprehensive strategic partnership. The language buried inside this partnership tells you everything you need to know about their mindset. The explicitly stated goal is to make North America the most competitive and resilient economic region in the world, even if they have to do it without the United States leading the way. For decades, the standard corporate playbook for a Canadian or Mexican company was incredibly simple. Produce your goods and sell them to the American market. It was huge, it was right next door, and the rules were predictable. But today, the literal visuals of continental trade are undergoing a massive facelift. Imagine giant cargo ships, massive freight trains, and heavy cargo planes moving directly between Canadian maritime ports and Mexican industrial hubs, completely avoiding United States transit lines. The economic synergy between these two countries makes perfect sense when you actually break down the raw numbers. Mexico has completely transformed itself into a cutting-edge global manufacturing powerhouse. It is no longer just a place for low-cost, basic assembly lines. It has rapidly evolved into a primary hub for advanced technology, automotive engineering, and massive aerospace manufacturing. In fact, Mexico's exports of advanced data processing machines and specialized components for global data centers have absolutely skyrocketed, topping over $79 billion. Meanwhile, Canada is a global leader in the exact fields Mexico desperately needs to fuel this explosive industrial growth. Canada excels in advanced industrial automation, heavy robotics, clean energy technologies, and ultra-high-quality agri-food products. When Canada sends a massive trade mission to Mexico, they aren't trying to sell basic commodities. They are targeting highly specific, high-tech sectors: precision machining, industrial plastic injection molding, smart electricity grids, and automated factory software. By integrating Canadian technology directly into the infrastructure of Mexican factories, the two nations are creating a shared industrial ecosystem. If a manufacturing plant in Monterrey runs on advanced automation software developed in Vancouver and uses highly specialized components engineered in Toronto, those two economies become completely inseparable. They create a combined economic weight and interdependency that is much harder for any outside political force or sudden tariff wall to break apart. This quiet cooperation goes miles beyond just factory floors and corporate boardrooms. It represents a fundamental psychological shift in how both countries view their long-term place in the global economy. For 3 decades, both nations operated under the comfortable umbrella of NAFTA and later the USMCA, fully assuming that North American trade would always be a stable three-way street. But behind closed doors, trade negotiators in both capitals have come to a sobering, realistic realization. The United States is structurally moving toward a more isolationist, protectionist future, regardless of which political party holds power. The golden era of easy, entirely predictable free trade with Washington is officially over. So what does a post-USMCA world actually look like for Canada and Mexico? It absolutely does not mean they will stop trading with the United States. The American consumer market is simply too massive to ever ignore. But it means they are actively and aggressively removing their extreme economic vulnerabilities. They are diversifying their portfolios. Both Canada and Mexico are already core members of the CPTPP, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. This powerful trade bloc connects them directly to booming high-growth economies all across the Asia-Pacific region. By deliberately strengthening their bilateral relationship right now, they are creating a united front. When the official USMCA review talks finally begin, Canada and Mexico will not be walking into that high-stakes room as isolated, vulnerable targets waiting to be picked apart one by one. They will be walking in as deeply connected, highly aligned economic partners who have spent years synchronized in their strategies, their core industries, and their ultimate goals. There is a powerful, profound lesson in what is happening right now across the continent. While political commentators spend 100% of their time shouting and debating the latest rhetoric coming out of Washington, the real historical work of shaping the actual future of global trade is being done quietly. It is happening in bilateral meetings, through unannounced trade missions, and across distant factory floors. Canada and Mexico are proving to the world that true economic resilience isn't about panicking or waiting for a political storm to pass. It's about quietly building a much sturdier house with the partners you know you can trust. The trade maps of the future are being actively redrawn right now. The old paths that relied entirely on a single global superpower are starting to fracture. But in their place, a new, incredibly resilient economic bridge is being built between the frozen north and the tropical south. It is a quiet economic revolution, and it is changing the face of North American trade forever. To see a deeper breakdown of how these changing dynamics are playing out at the formal negotiating tables, check out this report on the USMCA talks by clicking the link in the description below, where we break down the exact diplomatic landscape and explain why these bilateral moves are so critical right now.